So around Christmas time, I had this first world problem of my Christmas tree being stuck in a corner and not being able to get to the power strip to turn it on and off very easily. So I was poking at it with a stick in order to turn it on and off. In order to solve that, I thought about buying a timer, but I got to looking at it, and smart plugs are honestly not all that much more expensive than just a regular old school timer. So I decided to pick up a pack of these and try them out. These particular ones are Tapo P115s. I used them during the Christmas season. I still have one of these hooked up to my bedroom fan, and it turns on and off at a schedule, and these have worked pretty well. But I'm curious what's inside of them, because I paid $5.75 a piece for these. This entire 4-pack was $23, and these have energy monitoring in them, as well as the smart plug functionality, obviously. These were a little bit confusing to buy because you'll notice these are a TP-Link product, as it says here. There is also another brand of smart plugs that you can buy, also made by TP-Link. So there are two different TP-Link product lines of smart plugs, smart devices. This one is apparently a little bit cheaper and a little bit more nerdy, if you will. Slightly less user-friendly though, and then the other brand is supposed to be easier to use, but it's a little bit more money. Not really sure why they ended up with two different brands. It seems so similar, but whatever, that's beside the point. I'm mostly curious in what's inside of these because of the little quick start guide that comes with it. Shows all the ratings. And they're very specific on what you can and can't plug into this thing. So they rate it at 15 amps, which on face value, that should mean that you can plug in anything to this device because it's a 15 amp rated plug, so whatever you can plug into it should just work. But if you start reading the fine print, they give you this list of things and how much power they pull. Notice this first asterisk is, it actually tells you that using power adapters between 60 and 75 watts may cause damage to the smart plug, and that's because the inrush current may be too high. So that's kind of interesting. They also limit motor power to 1/6 of a horsepower, or 4.4 amps. That's what bullet point number 2 down here says as well. And it also tells you not to plug your EV charger into it because of excessive power draw. Also, if you're going to use it for incandescent light bulbs, that's limited to 8 amps of continuous load. So there are some rules and stipulations that you have to follow in order to not break these things. This is what it looks like. It's got an outlet on the front, plugs on the back, and a screw. So let's take it apart. At least see if we can. It seems to be a Torx T6, real tiny Torx head screw, which makes it easy to get out. Torx are nice because they don't strip out very easily. So you always like seeing Torx and things like this when you're taking them apart. Now this is the part where it probably does not come apart very easily. I'm guessing it's also going to be clipped, so we're going to have to get in here with something in order to pry it apart. It's a little bit more difficult to get apart than I was expecting. I think it probably would have been better if I was trying to prise it this way more. I figured that out at the end instead of just blatantly ripping it out. Kind of interesting. There's some like oily residue in the bottom of this. I'm not real sure what that is. Kind of odd. I think we even got it apart without damaging any of the clips. It's a little bit scuffed, but that's no big deal. I should also mention I'm not worried about getting shocked from this by the capacitors because it's been unplugged for about 4 months now, so I think we should be good. So we'll get in as close as we can here. We can see our 3 contacts. They actually look fairly beefy, more so than I was expecting. I was expecting super cheap, chintzy contacts, but these look okay. You can see the ground pin just goes straight through. Looks like the other two pins both go other places on the circuit board. So one of the AC pins from the input goes to that solder joint, and the other one goes over here. And you can see the little mechanical relay there. We can take a look at the ratings on that. So we can see the ratings on that little relay. It looks like it's a 5-volt coil. And then I think I'm seeing 16 amps at 250 volts AC. So we have a relay rated at 16 amps at 250 volts AC. I did a little bit of looking around here. What we seem to have on this side of the board is a power supply circuit for the entire unit. So this looks like a little switching regulator. There's some capacitors and then the inductor for that. That will be probably bucking 170 volts DC out of a rectifier somewhere and turning that down into a 5-volt rail for this entire device to run on. Fairly simple, fairly cheap. There's this 10 ohm resistor here, which I'm guessing is a fusible resistor. In case something goes wrong on this board, this will blow. A couple of resistors over here. I'm kind of wondering if those are for voltage measurement. There are a handful of components on the other side of the board as well. There's a couple of diodes, and way back down in there, there is a shunt resistor. So that's where it would be measuring the current from. It has this little daughter board on it, which only has parts on one side. There's a fair few components on this, but if I had to guess, I would imagine they use the same board with different firmwares for different smart plugs. So it's probably one standard thing that they just mass produce. It's got the antenna up here on the top. The microcontroller is an ESP8684. So nothing too crazy about that. It looks like I did do a bit of damage to the circuit board. There seems to be some power supply circuitry on this as well. I think I cracked that little inductor, unfortunately. It'll likely still work though. We'll have to find out. And I will note that little button soldered onto the center of the circuit board right there does come through the case right here. Really not much to this thing, which you wouldn't expect, of course, for $5.75. It's just a relay to switch to the hot side, some contacts, power supply circuitry, and then a microcontroller to run the entire show. Let's go ahead and try to put it back together and see if it still works. We'll go ahead and plug this in and do a little test. So I have the P3 kilowatt meter here, which these run about $20 to $25. These are usually regarded as a fairly accurate, cheap little watt meter. I'll go ahead and plug this in. You can see it draws 0.4 to 0.5 watts when the relay is not on, and we can press the button on the side to turn it on manually. And it takes about 1 watt with the relay coil engaged. Just for the fun of it, we'll show a comparison between the kilowatt and this smart plug. Haven't done this before, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to take the plug out of my desk lamp here, which I think has a 43 watt halogen bulb in it. If I press this power button, it should come on, and it does. You can see kilowatt is reading 43.2 watts, which we know that the smart plug is taking about 1 watt, so in theory this should be reading 42 watts, and it is right on the money. Now it's up to 43, but anyway, these two meters are within 1 watt of each other, so that's pretty impressive. We'll try it on something besides a resistive load too here, just for the fun of it. So this is my fume extractor, which is just a DC power supply effectively as far as these devices are concerned. See, power factor's Also, I guess if you're curious, the power factor of just the plug itself is kind of bouncing around a bit, but approximately 0.4. So not very good, but also doesn't really draw all that much power. So let's go back to watts and let's crank the fume extractor up. Again, these match pretty well, 52 watts and 52 watts. And you'll see the power factor on this device is not really all that great. So 81 VA with a power factor of 0.63. I was mostly just curious to see how this device measured with something that didn't have a perfect power factor. And you see it actually works very well. So really the main difference between this device and the wattage measurement capabilities over here on the smart plug is this gives you a lot more information. You can see volts, amps, watts, volt amps, frequency, power factor, and then kilowatt hours and time. Whereas over here you're getting the current power in watts only. You don't get amps or volts. And then you get power consumption over the last 24 hours and then the last month, which is kind of neat. And you can also show that in a graph, which there isn't really much of a graph because we haven't run it for very long. But anyway, I just want to do a short little video taking one of these apart to see what's inside of a cheap smart plug like this and giving a little bit of a comparison versus the kilowatt meter here. So anyhow, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.